Good morning and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. At this time, I would like to remind everyone to silence all electronic devices. Also, at this point going forward, no one is to approach the dais. Chair Bray, we're ready to begin.
Good morning and welcome to today's hearing of New York City Council's Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. I am Councilmember Sean Abreu, Majority Leader and Chair of this committee. Today we will be hearing three bills that are focused on making practical, straightforward improvements to the streets of New York City so that these bills can advance without unnecessary delay. The first bill we are hearing today would improve the city's oversight over news racks, which play an important role in the distribution of newspapers and other printed materials, but can also cause safety hazards and quality of life issues when poorly maintained or improperly placed. Introduction number 68, sponsored by myself, would require news rack owners to provide an email to the Department of Transportation and allow DOT to communicate with those news rack owners electronically. This bill would also expand DOT's authority to seize news racks when their owners fail to correct violations after receiving notice from the department. The second of the bills we are hearing today would help the city better respond to the ongoing increase in the use of electronic bicycles, e-bikes, throughout New York City. Introduction number 124, sponsored by Councilmember Brooks Powers, would establish a task force to study options for making street design and infrastructure safer for all road users in consideration of the increased use of e-bikes and related collisions. As e-bikes and other micromobility options become more common, the city must keep pace with the safety challenges and opportunities that come with that shift. This bill aims to bring back stakeholders together to evaluate street design, infrastructure needs, and policy options that protect pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, and e-bike operators alike. Third, we will hear introduction number 409, sponsored by Councilmember Riley, which would require DOT to post signs on each block of any street subject to bus lane restrictions. While bus lanes are a key tool for improving bus service and reducing congestion, their effectiveness depends on the applicable restrictions being followed. Clear signage can reduce confusion for other drivers, improve compliance, and help ensure bus lanes function as intended. Today, the committee looks forward to hearing from DOT about current enforcement and operations related to news racks, what the agency sees as the most urgent street safety needs as e-bike usage increases, and how signage and communication can better support bus lane compliance and enforcement. Before we begin, I would like to thank my staff and the committee for their hard work in preparing for today's hearing. Jaleesa Quigley, my Deputy Chief of Staff and Director of Legislation and Budget. Amber Moore, my Chief of Staff. Ian Boldeston, my Director of Communications. Mark Chen, Senior Counsel to the Committee. Theodore Miller, Counsel to the Committee. Kevin Katowski, Senior Policy Analyst of the Committee. John Basile, Senior Policy Analyst of the Committee. And Adrian Japal, Principal Financial Analyst of the Committee. Council members who have joined us today are Council members Marte, Justin Sanchez, and Wong. And that's who we have as of right now. I now ask the committee council to swear in the administration.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions? Yes. Thank you. You may begin when ready.
Good morning, Chair Abreu and members of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. I am Eric Beaton, Deputy Commissioner for Transportation, Planning, and Management. I'm joined by Leon Hayward, Deputy Commissioner for Sidewalks and Inspection Management, and Rick Rodriguez, Assistant Commissioner for Intergovernmental and Community Affairs. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of Mayor Mamdani and Commissioner Flynn about the administration's work to enhance New York City's streetscape. With 6,300 miles of streets and highways, over 12,000 miles of sidewalk, and over 1 million street signs under DOT's responsibility, every time New Yorkers go outside, they interact with DOT. We are committed to providing equitable mobility and enjoyable public space for all residents and visitors for one of the most complex urban transportation networks in the world. As mobility trends evolve, we are focused on meeting the moment to help all New Yorkers and millions of visitors get around our city. whether we are seizing new opportunities presented by e-micromobility, working collaboratively and creatively with the MTA to improve the bus rider experience, or reclaiming the use of our public space, we're working every day to reimagine how people move in this city. Turning to the legislation before the Council today. First, Intro 68, sponsored by Chair Abreu. This bill would require newsrack owners to provide email addresses to DOT when registering and permit DOT to communicate with them electronically. It will also expand DOT ability to remove newsracks that are in violation of the regulations governing newsracks if owners fail to correct their violations. Newsracks provide an important service for the distribution of newspaper or other printed material. However, unsightly newsracks can be a visual blight on neighborhoods. We look forward to working with the Council on a bill that gives DOT better regulatory authority to enforce against newsracks that have been neglected. Next, Intro 124, sponsored by Councilmember Brooks Powers. This bill would create a task force to study options for making street design and infrastructure safer in consideration of increased use of electric bicycles and related collisions. In recent years, use of electric micromobility devices, such as e-bikes and e-scooters, has dramatically increased. When used safely, these new modes of transportation offer affordable, sustainable, and convenient options for a range of New Yorkers, from families to delivery workers, thousands of whom rely on e-bikes for their livelihoods. The growing popularity of these devices has also raised challenges, which DOT has been addressing head-on. New designs have been developed and deployed throughout our bike network to support increased ridership, including wider lanes, improved intersection treatments, dedicated layover areas, and signal timing that promotes lower speeds and red light compliance. We ended 2025 with the fewest traffic deaths ever recorded, including a notable 18% decline from 2024 to 25 in fatalities occurring on motorized two-wheeled devices. The success of this historic decline reflects ongoing work under Vision Zero. We look forward to working with the Council on this bill to build on existing progress, to create thoughtful and comprehensive legislation that also includes plans for regulation of these modes, rather than just street design and infrastructure. Next, Intro 409, sponsored by Councilmember Riley. This bill would require DOT to post signs indicating the days and hours during which bus lane restrictions are in effect for all applicable blocks. The bill also proposes publishing the days and hours during which the bus lane restrictions are in effect for all streets on DOT's website. We currently install at least one bus lane sign per block with the applicable bus lane restrictions and publish this dataset on DOT's data feed webpage and on NYC Open Data. We support the goals of this bill and look forward to working with the Council. In conclusion, I would like to thank the Council for the opportunity to testify before you today. We would now be happy to answer any questions.
I will now turn it over to Councilmember Brooks Powers to speak on her bill.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. Again, thank you, Chair, for convening today's hearing. I'm here to speak to Introduction 124 legislation I am proud to sponsor to establish a task force to study options for making our street design and infrastructure safer in response to the growing use of electric bicycles and other micromobility devices. E-bikes have become an important part of New York City's transportation network. They provide affordable, efficient, and environmentally friendly mobility options, and for many working New Yorkers, they are essential to earning a living. At the same time, as their use has increased, so have safety concerns. Across our city, residents have raised issues about collisions, unsafe riding behavior, and conflicts between pedestrians, riders, and motorists. We must ensure that our streets are safe and accessible for everyone, including pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, delivery workers, seniors, and people with disabilities. Introduction 124 takes a comprehensive and forward-looking approach. This legislation would bring together city agencies, advocates, and industry stakeholders to examine data-driven solutions to improve street safety. This includes exploring infrastructure improvements such as safer intersection designs, designated loading zones for delivery workers, and strategies that strengthen education and enforcement. Micromobility is here to stay, and our responsibility is to ensure that our policies keep pace with how New Yorkers move throughout our city. By taking a thoughtful and holistic approach, we can support sustainable transportation while prioritizing public safety. I look forward to hearing testimony from the administration and members of the public today, and I thank everyone for their participation in this important discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. So, Commissioner, in your testimony, you mentioned regarding Intro 68 that you look forward to working with the council on getting a better regulatory authority to enforce against newsrack that has been neglected. Are there suggestions to the bill that you would like to see changed to have a better regulatory authority, or are you fine with the bill as is?
We are comfortable with how the bill is, but we would love to have ongoing conversations to talk about other things that can be done to strengthen the whole process.
Are you able to talk about that now, or?
We would probably like to talk it off in a smaller group in committee.
No problem. How does DOT currently handle the registration process for news racks? What contact information does DOT currently require from registrants?
So we require an address. We have been collecting emails, but it is not a requirement. And from our point of view, if we could communicate specifically via email, that would actually speed up the time and our ability to enforce the cleanliness and the correct placement and the abandonment of the news racks.
So collecting emails would be very much welcome,
Yes.
we would say. How does DOT communicate currently with owners of news racks about violations or other issues?
Again, we do it via mail, and we also do email. But of course, the response, we have to wait to come back to us.
Got it. So another reason why it would be welcome for DOT.
Exactly.
What are some common types of news rack violations?
Obviously, graffiti. If we see something that's been abandoned, if we see something that has garbage in it, or if it's been knocked over and it hasn't been in the right location. These are all various types of violations that we would issue.
And what are some of the issues that would necessitate DOT removing a news rack?
Again, I think, so if we find that something is abandoned, we've gotten no response. There's no registrations. We don't know who it belongs to. That is one of the reasons why. If there's an emergency in that location where the news rack is, the onus would be on us to remove it. Or if there was some capital construction project that was about to take place, that would be another reason why DOT would remove the news rack.
Thank you. I'm now going to pass it over to Council Member Brooks Powers to speak about questions for her bill.
Thank you, Chair. So first, I'd like to know, how is the administration currently evaluating the safety impacts of increased e-bike usage across the city? And where do you see the greatest gaps in data, infrastructure, or enforcement that a dedicated task force could help address?
Yeah, thank you, and appreciate the question. Because this is something that we've been taking very seriously, and I think it has been working as we see the crashes going down. But obviously, there's still too many, and so we've been doing a number of things. We've been increasingly using sensors to collect data, which is much better than someone standing on the street trying to capture everyone going by. Which also helps us look at different kinds of dangerous behavior, be it speeding, red light running, and so forth, and seeing what's common to those behaviors. And what we see is, by and large, the speeds are actually not as high as people might think. But we do see a lot of red light running and other kinds of dangerous behavior. And we think we can do a lot with street design. Our new wider bike lanes have helped. We see a lot less sidewalk riding when those are in place. And we've been testing the signal timing as well so that it's in people's interest to ride with the green and not to run the red. That if they ride at a reasonable pace, you'll keep hitting the greens. Now, that said, we know that there's still a lot of information out there that we don't gather. We've started to work with hospital emergency rooms, for example, to see if there's crashes that are not reported. We've worked with the delivery worker community, and then we work very closely with NYPD as well to make sure that they're doing enforcement, but doing it in smart and targeted ways that are really going after that really dangerous behavior that we see. As we talk about a task force, I think we want to think beyond street design as well, including but not limited to, so that we can also look at the enforcement side. We can look at how we can educate better. We can look at the role played by these third-party delivery companies and make sure that we're approaching it comprehensively.
No, and I appreciate that. And as I've always said, I do believe that the road redesign is an important component to this because, again, just like cars, they're going to move around these public shared spaces the way they're designed to do. What are the challenges, particularly with respect to street design, involved with integrating e-bikes and similar micromobility devices into our streets?
Sure, and as you mentioned in your intro, we do see these as valuable and affordable ways for people to get around. So we think that they're, by and large, a good addition to the streetscape, but they do present these challenges as well, where they tend to be slower than the big heavy cars on the street, but faster than some traditional bicycles, and making sure we provide that space. We think that, again, the new designs have helped where the wider lanes provide room for bikes to pass each other without having to be either on the sidewalk or out in traffic, and creating spaces where delivery workers can wait in the street instead of congregating on the sidewalk helps keep things clear. But again, we're still making sure we're engaging and learning about all the behaviors, what exactly is contributing to these crashes, and that's some of where we're using the sensors to make sure we get that bigger picture of what's happening out there.
How does DOT design streets right now to accommodate pedestrians, cyclists, e-cyclists, and drivers?
Sure, and we want to make sure that everyone is given a safe place on the street, right? So we want to make sure that we have sidewalks that are wide enough and safe enough and accessible enough that pedestrians can use them, and that they really are for pedestrians. We create a safe cycling network with our protected bike lanes as the key component, because we want the cyclists and the e-cyclists to be in their own space, not on the sidewalk, not in the street. And then we want to make sure we're designing the roadway space as well for everything that's out there. That's cars, that's trucks, that's buses. We're increasingly doing loading zones and bus lanes and things. But ultimately, it's not trying to do everything on every street. It's trying to create these networks where we're creating the right space on the right streets for each mode.
I would also encourage DOT to work with parks in terms of what that design looks like when you do expand the sidewalks, because what I found in my district, the enlarged tree pits have the way they've been designed created trip hazards, but also it's restricted and constrained pedestrian movement also. How does DOT currently track collisions between e-bikes and other street users? If so, does DOT currently track these collisions? And if so, are there particular areas or types of streets where these collisions occur more frequently?
Yes, so crashes involving injuries or fatalities are closely tracked for all road users, including e-bike riders. The places we've seen injuries concentrated are where usage is highest, which makes sense. But so some of the hotspots we see are in Manhattan, the South Bronx, downtown Brooklyn, and Sunset Park.
And then how does DOT currently receive and respond to community input on street design and infrastructure specifically related to e-bike safety?
Yeah, so as you know, we were out there in lots of ways. We get tremendous amounts of feedback. And we try to do this in an iterative engagement way, not just showing up at community boards, although we do that too, but making sure that we're using our whole toolbox and that feedback is brought into planning. So that includes in-person, virtual, and pop-up workshops. We have a team called our Street Ambassadors that will just go out on the street. They speak 10 languages, and they'll set up and just talk to people. We have project portals or feedback maps on our website, particularly around our high-profile projects where people can say exactly where they see something happening. We do field meetings with stakeholders. We do surveys where we talk to both businesses and people shopping on the street to learn about how they get around. And then, of course, elected officials and bids and all the other stakeholders on the corridor. We spend a tremendous amount of work on outreach, and I think we get a lot of feedback. I think, we can always do better.
Are those teams located in like the areas, like you said, with regards to the collisions where there's higher usage? Because I know I haven't observed it in my district in terms of having DOT doing that type of outreach in the community.
Yeah, so we focus on areas with the most crashes, but they do a lot of other types of work as well. If we're doing a bus project, they'll be out at the bus stops along the route. What we do try to do is work very closely with NYPD so that before we do they do an enforcement action on a corridor, we try to get the education out there beforehand and make sure that we're not trying to catch people, we're trying to change behavior. So we try to have the education go before the outreach.
And my last
the
question
Enforcement.
is not related to this, but my district. So my office has invested millions of dollars, as you guys know, in DOT for roadway resurfacing in my district over the last few fiscal years, and yet road conditions remain abysmal in many parts of my district. Can you please provide details on how this funding has been utilized and how the agency plans to address existing infrastructure needs for roadways in the Rockaways in Southeast Queens?
Yeah, so we do resurface all over the city, and we have a schedule to make sure that every community board gets an appropriate share. I know that you've
I'm
raised.
talking about my targeted funding for my district.
So I know you've raised a couple in particular around Brookville Boulevard, where of course we're doing the big capital study, Beach Channel Drive. So these we've heard you, and these are on our roadway repair and maintenance
And
list.
in the Auburn area of Rockaway too, as well as Far Rockaway, near the hospital, near St. John's.
Yes, I think there's some of those that are ours. There's a few of them that are not DOT streets, and so we're happy to clarify with you sort of who's
Right,
responsible.
but the coordination with HPD just seems non-existent. Like, we've had lights that have been out, as you know, along Rockaway Beach Boulevard for several months because of the lack of coordination with DOT and HPD. And the roads are not being handled either. But again, myself and the borough president has invested money consistently over the last several fiscal years. And we have been engaged, as you know, with the agency, but we haven't seen any results. So I'm getting hammered locally about this. So I would like and appreciate a formal response to let me know how that money has been utilized, where it's been utilized, and the plan of action and timeline to address the outstanding situations. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
If we can please get our council member that information, that would be very greatly appreciated.
Yep, of course.
I would like to now just ask a few questions on Kevin Riley's bill, Intro 409, 2026. This bill would require Department of Transportation to post signs on each block of any street subject to bus lane restrictions. I understand that to an extent you guys are already doing that. Can you tell me to what extent is it are you guys 100% of the time doing this, or is this on a case by case basis?
So that is our standard policy, and that's been a long-standing policy that we've had. NYPD has requested that we have a sign on every block for them to enforce, and so that should be what's out there all over the city. If there's a location that anyone sees without it, let us know, and we'll take care of it. I think one of the things we'll want to talk about with the bill is just what exactly block means. Sometimes you have a T intersection or something. So I think we are fully on board with the spirit, and we'll just want to make sure that the language, doesn't cause any trouble.
We'd like to recognize Councilmember Hanif, who has joined us for today's hearing. What is DOT's current standard for installing bus lane signage? Is it every block, specific distances, or based on other factors?
Yeah. So fundamentally, we rely on the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is a federal document that guides how we design and place signage around the city. Within that guidance, our policy is that we install a sign on every block, and sometimes more than one if it's a long block.
How many bus lane violations occur each year? Does DOT track how many are repeat violations?
Yeah. So the latest numbers that I have at hand are 2022 through the end of 2023. We're compiling the next 2-year report currently, and we'll share that. But during that time period, there were 1,248,543 notices of liability for stationary, that's the DOT operated bus lane cameras, and 229,442 were issued from the MTA's ABLE bus lane camera violation system. This ranged from about 44,000 to about 93,000 per month, and then we'll have the updated report shortly. But then to the second part of your question, 80% of vehicles that got a violation got only one violation, and then another 12% received 2 and no more, and then only 8% of vehicles received 3 or more violations. So we really do see that when people get a violation, it changes behavior and they learn to stay out of bus lanes.
Is there a specific type of like vehicle or company that are willing to be repeat offenders? Is it like businesses mostly that you seeing become repeat offenders, or is it mostly individuals? Or it's hard to tell.
It is a mix. It's not always easy to tell. Certainly companies that have very large fleets also get larger proportions of violations, but sometimes they change their fleet out. It's not always the same truck in the same location. But we do look for those hot spots. Like if there's a location that's getting a lot of repeat offenders, we either work with NYPD to make sure that they're really getting out there and helping them, really change behavior, or sometimes if there's an issue where we need a loading zone in that area because people have a legitimate need, we'll go out and change regulations as well.
We'd like to recognize Councilmember Dinowitz, who has also joined us. How much revenue has been generated for the city with these bus lane violations? I'm just curious. You may not have that on hand.
Yeah, I think we don't have it with us, but we have it and we can share it.
Yeah, we could just send it over. I'm just curious. And then my last question on this bill is, does DOT have any access to information about the cause of violation? For example, if a violation was caused because the driver wasn't aware that a bus lane restriction was in place.
No, when it's a camera violation, there's no interaction with the driver, so we it's hard to say for sure.
It is or it isn't, right?
Yeah.
I've also been joined by for questions, we have Council Member Wong, followed by Council Member Justin Sanchez.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. I have a question concerning bike lanes. One of my constituents, Teresa Valenti, 60 years old, she was getting off her bus B57 on the corner of Flushing Avenue and North Elliott Place in Brooklyn on October 5th, and there were cyclists, there were e-bikes that either didn't stop or didn't look, and it hit her and she was killed on the spot. And this is a really terrible incident. I was at the funeral, so this is very personal to me. My question is, have you ever looked at these designs where the bike lanes are immediate next to the bus stops, and what have you done to improve the safety of these designs, or whether they should be modified or enhanced? Please talk about that.
Sure. I mean, we're very aware of that tragic incident as well. We all feel terrible about it. I think what we see on average is that bike lanes make the streets safer for everybody. That includes cyclists and pedestrians and drivers. So we think in the big picture, they do a very good job. At the same time, we recognize that there are locations that need a little bit more care and attention. So, it's newer that there are the bike lanes that go behind the bus stops. That's generally recognized as a best practice for cities around the United States. But we do want to make sure that they're signed well, that they're visible to both the cyclist that they need to slow down and the bus rider that they need to step off. And we have, based in part on looking at that incident, we've been thinking about how do we upgrade our designs at those locations to make them even safer.
Yes, it's important because I noticed that whole route, the whole B57 route is designed to be right next to the bike lanes, and if nothing is getting done, this is going to happen again.
Yeah, along that stretch by the Brooklyn Navy Yard, we've already we've put up some additional signage and made some other changes, and I think that there'll be more to come when the weather warms up in the spring.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I have a question regarding Nycc. um, I see a lot of news racks in my district that are either abandoned or like never being taken care of. When I mean abandoned, like I every time I open the door, there's no newspapers there. So and of course there's debris and graffiti and other. My question is, um, how does the DOT know like which racks are abandoned and what do you do in response, or do you have a crew like inspecting the news racks, or you rely on constituents calling in make these complaints? Thank you.
Yes, we do rely on 311 requests, constituents calling in to make us aware of conditions of the news racks. We do not have a staff that goes around and, regularly inspects the news racks.
I'll just add on, I think it's really important to have the dialogue with our elected officials as well. If you want to offline with me, happy to take those locations down and we can get inspections out as well.
Because they accumulate, trash accumulates in these abandoned racks, and then the next thing you know, we're gonna have fires, and there were quite a few of them in my district. So I would give you a list of these abandoned racks, and then please either notify the owner to move it, or DOT will remove them. Thank
We
you.
will definitely go out, do the inspections, and put it in a process and do the follow-up.
Okay, thank you.
Just to piggyback off of Councilmember Wong, my understanding is that the department already has the authority to remove user acts that are not being used. So I would encourage the communication with the council member, a member of my committee, so to the extent that they're not being used, that you make sure you let DOT know so that you can, you have to go through some hoops to get them removed. I understand that,
Right.
but making sure that you're engaging that process, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Justin Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, commissioners. And quick question on Intro 409. I just had if you knew off the top of your head what the cost of each of these signs, the bus lane signs, are, and if there was a total estimation of the total cost for full implementation of 409.
So the cost of the signs varies quite a bit based on how big they are and how they're mounted. Some of them are small and mounted on a post by the sidewalk. Some of them are much larger and mounted on the arm that comes out over the bus lane. We like using the arm that comes out over the bus lane because we think it's the most visible, but we balance cost versus visibility along a corridor. So that they range from a few $1,000s to in the $10,000 range. Luckily, we think implementation of this will not be very expensive because we do already have this as a policy. We'll of course do some double checking to make sure that there aren't places that we missed, but we think that this is something easily absorbable within our regular operations.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brooks Bowers.
Thank you again, Chair. I just have one brief question on Intro 409 in terms of the signage and kind of like a suggestion. The signage, and I know DOT often tries not to make it too large to be distracting, but I would argue that DOT should look at and maybe update the regulations around the font and size of the signage and how it illuminates, especially at nighttime, because it is at times hard to see the bus lane signs that may exist because they are very small. And like at nighttime in particular with the blue and white, it's just like, it's hard to see. And I know for me, I mean, I should have glasses probably, but in all seriousness, it is difficult to see. And when you think about our seniors that are on the road or people who may have limitations to their visibility, I think it is important to take that into account.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, we do try to balance visibility and sort of blocking other things. We use quite a lot of reflectivity in our signs so that when it's dark, the light bounces back. But if there's locations where you're seeing issues,
like maybe the wording could be illuminated, because like if you go down the bus way on Jamaica or on Merrick Boulevard, when dusk comes, you cannot see that.
okay,
It's just a little sign up there.
yeah, we'll take a look.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We're going back to Councilmember Wong.
Yeah, there's a big piece of Woodhaven Boulevard in my district, starting from Queens Boulevard and all the way down, and there's a dedicated bus lane there 24/7. and then I drive down there. And my question for you is that why bother to keep it as a bus lane? Well, there are no buses, say after 9 o'clock. It's just that shouldn't you be open it up for other cars to use, because by restricting it a bus lane, you're creating more traffic problems. Have you ever considered that?
We do look at that, and bus lane restrictions are not the same every street in the city, because we do try to tailor it a little bit. What we saw on Woodhaven Boulevard is that it's a very dangerous street, right? It has some of the highest crash numbers in the city, and that overnight speeds can be very fast, which contributes to those numbers. So our thinking was that there are fewer buses. It's not none, but there are fewer. At the same time, if we open up the street lanes to the smaller amount of traffic that's there, we think we'll see more speeding. And so Woodhaven has seen very good safety numbers since we put that in, and so we expect it to continue.
But are you saying that the bus lane will slow cars down? I mean, if they speed, they will speed no matter what.
So what we've seen with road diets and other things around the city is that if you match the number of lanes to the appropriate amount of traffic, it tends to keep cars going at a more regular speed.
Okay, well, we'll talk after this meeting. I'm going to show you, or perhaps one day we'll take you down Woodhaven Boulevard during hours that really cars would move faster if you open up the bus lane. I'm talking about in the evening hours.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions from my colleagues, this panel is hereby excused. Thank you very much for coming today. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topics. Introduction number 68 in relation to news rack requirement and enforcement. Introduction number 124 in relation to the establishment of a task force to study options for making street design and infrastructure safer, in consideration of increased use of electric bicycles and related collisions. And introduction number 409 in relation to the bus lane restrictions. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. You may also email written testimony to the testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. Now we'll call the first panel. I have Christopher Leon Johnson and Mamadou Selou Bald. And my apologies if I mispronounce your name.
Yeah, hello. My name is Christopher Leon
1 second.
Johnson. I'm here to support.
We're ready to roll.
Reclaim my time. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I'm here to support Ms. Sabina Brooks Powers' bill, Intro 124. But I want to make this clear that the speaker should you should make it to the speaker that you bar Andrew Fine from serving on the board.
Can you please stay on topic, please?
Yeah, no. I'm gonna explain why. Because he gets money from the speaker, from the city council speaker via the 86th Street Association, and that'll be a conflict of interest. So you need to ban him from serving on that board. And there's, I think that's the only one that should be banned from serving that board. I think you should make the chair. I think the DM should make the chair of the board, Lidget Galapa. But they need to be on the record that they get money
Mr.
from.
Johnson,
I'm saying on
how is
record.
this related to the bill?
I'm staying on the bill. I'm claiming my claim my time. Can I reclaim my time?
Okay.
Be on the record.
the task force, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I know about the task force. I said
Okay,
to be
you're
on
good.
be on the record that she gets money from the past administration from discretionary funding. But when you appoint this board, they need to be on the record and be a disclaimer saying that these people they have conflict with the city council if you want to appoint them. I believe this need to happen. I'm calling the city council to withdraw that bill when it comes to Crystal Hudson trying to call for the banning of Class C e-bikes. That's not going to do anything at all. What you need to do as a city council is to make a statement as a chair of the city council condemning Jessica Tisch and call for to repeal that criminalization of deliveristas. That's just the only way you're going to fix this e-bike crisis when it comes to deliveristas is by telling the commissioner to repeal that bill. You can have task force commissioners all you want, but if you don't repeal that bill, repeal that law criminalizing deliveristas, this is not going to do anything. I support this bill. I support 100%. But I know going forward, I know the speaker has her people that she want to appoint. The mayor has his people he want to appoint. But there's need to be a real transparency. I still have time because you cut my thing. Y'all need to be transparent and letting the people know that the people that's on the board, they either get money from the administration or they get money from the speaker. So I support this bill. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
You're good. Actually, can you sit down until this gentleman finishes?
Yeah, no
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Selu Balde. I'm a delivery worker, a leader with Lots Deliveries Town Leaders. I'm a member of Worker Justice Project. I'm here today to speak for more than 80,000 app-based delivery workers across New York City. I have lived in New York for the past 2 years, worked as a delivery worker for the past year with Uber and DoorDash, mostly in Lower East Side and East Village. Last year, I became an organizer to bring Latino and West African delivery workers together to make our jobs safer and protect each other from traffic violence, street crime, and unfair treatment by app company. Every week, delivery workers make more than 2.77 million delivery, bring food, grocery, and medicine to every neighborhood. Nearly 70% of us work with e-bike and moped because they are the most reliable way to get around the city. When there are snowstorm and emergency, New Yorkers are told to stay home. We are still out there to keep people safe and fed. I'm here today to support Intro 0124, which will create a task force to study how street design and infrastructure can be made safer for everyone, including e-bike riders. We strongly support this bill, and we want to make sure this task force includes delivery workers because we are experts who live this problem every day. We are ready to have a seat at the table and bring worker-led solutions that will make our streets safe and our jobs safer. We delivery workers care about safety because we face the greatest risk. The app pushes us to go faster, travel farther, and meet tighter deadline. Treatment to deactivate us from firing. If we can meet these demands, the fear forces us to take unnecessary risk and rely on e-bike just to make our living. Let me be clear. Neither e-bike nor delivery worker are the problem. The real issue are streets that aren't designed for e-bike, a lack of protected
Thank you
bike
so
lane.
much for your testimony. You almost done?
No.
Okay.
Just-
I'm going to have to stop you short. You want to wrap up your thought?
Yep. Okay. Okay. E-bike are the future transportation in New York City to make that future safe. This task force us must focus on real solutions, expanding protected bike lane, investing in secure e-bike charging and parking, creating delivery zone, supporting the delivery hub, and holding app company accountable. Delivery workers are essential to this city. All we are asking to be protected, respected, and included to the decision that shape our street. Thank you, Council Member Selvan Brooke Power, for leading this bill, and Chair Sean Abru for always supporting us and to testify today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On Zoom, we have
you. No
Louis
problem.
Alzate
That's it.
or Alzate.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Louis Alzade. I'd like to thank the majority leader, Mr. Sean Abu, and the Council Committee on Transportation, and for the infrastructure opportunity to share ATU's concerns on legislation.
Are you able to speak up? I can't tell if that's an issue on our end or if that's on your end.
It's an issue. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a lot better now. I'll let you start from the beginning again.
Okay. Amalgamated Transit Union thanks the Majority Leader, Sean Abreu, and the Council Committee on Transportation and for Infrastructure for this opportunity to share ATU's concerns on legislation 124, proposed to establish a task force to study options for making street designs and infrastructure safer, but fails to include buses. As drafted, ATU opposes Introduction 124. My name is Luis Alzade. I am the president for Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 1056, and the financial secretary treasurer for the ATU International Legislative Conference Board. I deliver this testimony on behalf of the presidents of ATU 726, Danny Casella, ATU 1179, and ATU 1181. Statewide, the ATU represents more than 25,000 hardworking transit workers throughout the ATU cities, including Albany, Binghamton, Buffalo, New York City, Rochester, and Syracuse. ATU remains concerned about any failure to include public transit bus operators in any discussion that impacts street design. While pedestrians and bicycle modes of transportation have been in place in New York City and merit protection, those modes not necessarily merit primacy when it comes to public transit buses and the efficiencies are offered. There have been bike lanes installed along bus routes that have made dedicated bus lanes virtually impossible and impractical, including bus operators and street design discussions that make less likely and should ensure an overall improvement in street design. As ATU number 409, ATU supports the Department of Transportation's posting signs at each block of any street subject to bus lane restrictions. At the same time, ATU notes greater enforcement on these restrictions remain necessary, and discussing these as part of street designs and redesigns can yield better all outcomes. Bus public transit serves.
Can you wrap up? Thank you very much. You can wrap up.
Okay. Bus public transit serves as a lifeline of many New Yorkers who shop, see doctors, and attend workshops, visit family members, and do many other things that enrich their lives. I have given this testimony over to the council and to the hearing for review.
Thank you so much for sharing that testimony with us. If we have inadvertently missed anyone that has been registered to testify today and has yet been called, please use the Zoom hand function if you are testifying remotely, and you will be called in that order that your hand has been raised. If you are testifying in person, please come to the dais. Before I close, because I don't see anyone coming up to the dais or signing up online, Sylvina, you want to share a few words to Mr. Alzate?
Yes. Hi, Louis. I just wanted to give a clarifying point based on your testimony. The task force has not prescribed who necessarily serves on the task force. The speaker and the mayor will be able to appoint those parties on there. So I would encourage you to submit a letter to both of them that should the bill pass, that the bus operators are represented and reflected on that task force. I agree in terms of our bus apparatus being a part of this, and that's why it talks about motorists, and that means all motorists. So whether it's the bus operators or an everyday New Yorker that's driving, we want to make sure that the conditions are safe. This is to bring more structure and safety to our public spaces. So I would argue that this is a bill that the union could and should get behind, because it is something that will ultimately make the streets safer with the presence of increased micromobility and e-bikes. So thank you, though, for your testimony.
Thank you for testifying. Thank you, Councilmember Brooks Powers. Seeing no one else signed up in person or online, this hearing is hereby adjourned.